Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Sandra Mirage. C News is live. Topping the news at this time, will we have a date for the budget this afternoon? Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley hinted that the Finance Minister, Colm Imbert, could announce the date for the 2017-2018 budget in the House of Representatives this afternoon. Speaking at yesterday's post-cabinet media briefing, the Prime Minister said the announcement of the date would be close.
We're going to Parliament tomorrow. I think, in normal circumstances, a Minister of Finance probably might choose a time like tomorrow to tell the country when the budget might be.
The 2016-2017 budget was read on September 30th, 2016. A San Fernando businessman has been kidnapped. According to reports, 71-year-old Suklal Ramrup was taken from his home at Cipero Road, San Fernando at around 3:30 p.m. on Thursday. Sometime later, his family received a phone call demanding a ransom. The amount has not yet been revealed. Residents of Mamoral have been protesting the state of the roads in their area. This morning, they burned tires and blocked the roads to draw attention to their plight. They said the roads have been damaged by 10-wheeler trucks regularly running along the roadway. Peter Christopher reports.
Upset residents of Mamoral decided enough was enough and protested road conditions in the area on Friday morning. Tires were burnt and debris was strewn across Mamoral Road number 2 to ensure trucks belonging to a contractor working in the area could not traverse the roadway. They say these trucks are the major reason the road has decayed.
The 10-wheelers are running on this road and damaging the road real bad. People here can't even go to school, cars can't even pass. Children is affected tremendously, and we are having lots of problems with water line leaking because the trucks are digging up the road in such a way that it even bursting the water lines underneath.
Mr. Suklal says the state of the road has adversely affected the residents to the point they can barely get out of the village to go to work or school.
And these people right now is out of water. This woman have about 6 grandchildren here, and it's completely in a mess. This old man here can't even get in his yard on mornings. Look at right in front of his step. And these trucks, they're not paying any attention.
They say the trucks belong to a contractor from Sangre Grande, and they have attempted to contact him about the problem to no avail. C News was similarly unable to reach the contractor this morning. They say they will continue protests in the area until the situation is addressed. Peter Christopher, C News.
And political leader of the Movement for Social Justice, David Abdullah, has said the country has turned a blind eye to corruption for far too long. Mr. Abdullah and the MSJ were in Mount Dawn Thursday evening as part of their MSJ Community Speaks initiative. But when the issue of inequality in wealth distribution was raised, the MSJ leader pointed out that in a recent poll, only 3% of the population said their major concern was corruption. This, he said, was worrying.
It means, therefore, that we don't recognize that every dollar that ends up corruptly in the pocket of politician or businessman, that is a dollar of taxpayers' money that should be going to improve the community, making sure that the hospitals have medicine and beds and so on, that the schools are properly maintained, that the community centers are properly equipped, etc. And until we recognize that corruption prevents us from getting what is rightfully ours, we will just allow the system to continue and those who run the status quo to remain the same.
The MSJ leader said this allowed certain people to maintain or gain wealth through questionable means. He said the current brand of local politics, coupled with this view on corrupt acts, has lent itself to few profiting off taxpayers' dollars. He used the recent fake oil scandal as one such example.
One-on-one, because we ain't stupid, but the politicians feel we're stupid. You add up one-on-one, that if they get contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars, which they didn't have before, then they give the party money, and that was the last government. That wasn't this one, that was the last government. So it is, whether it is PNM or UNC, that same system works.
Well, this is the C News Live report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at C News Live. Opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar is calling on the Prime Minister to stop dithering on the serious allegations of fraud at Petrol-T and take immediate action. In a press statement, the opposition leader says Dr. Keith Rowley once again failed to take decisive action on this serious matter, choosing instead to cast aspersions on the opposition in an attempt to deflect from the gravity of the allegations. She adds this matter reaches far beyond Petrol-T and is serious enough to warrant the attention of the DPP, Commissioner of Police and Integrity Commission. The opposition leader says the Prime Minister's admission that he spoke to his good friend Nazim Baksh is cause for alarm. She asks, by speaking with the person who runs the company accused of a crime whose interest is Rowley seeking. She says the opposition maintains its call on the government to take immediate steps to follow the money, freeze assets, and ensure that the country recovers from what has been taken from it. And Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has said the fake oil matter could have been dealt with differently by the opposition leader, Kamla Persad-Bissessar. While admitting he would have made the information public, he said there should be a limit on what Mrs. Persad-Bissessar puts out.
Inquiry and start accusing everybody who you know of being part of some grand conspiracy resulting in Petrol-T oil being stolen, to me, was a bit of an overreach. You could behave as an effective opposition leader. I think the country is better for that. But geometry is not really the way to deal with these things if you're going to get the best out of it. Because sometimes that kind of behavior in itself might be an impediment to getting to the root of the problem.
But that statement didn't sit too well with the women's arm of the UNC. It released a statement calling on the Prime Minister to issue an immediate apology to all women, especially the opposition leader, as the reference was made against her person. The women's arm said it continued to note with dissatisfaction the references used by the Prime Minister regarding women, and it hoped this alarming occurrence would be rectified since it was reckless and demeaning. But the company at the heart of the fake oil scandal has called on Petrol-T to refute the allegations made against them or face legal action. ANV Oil and Gas Limited has retained senior counsel Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj in relation to claims that the company received 100 million TT dollars or US $11.5 million fraudulently. The attorney issued a letter to Petrol-T chairman Wilfred Espinay asking him or Fitzroy Harewood to withdraw any statements or inferences which suggest that ANV is guilty of fraud and or fraudulent conduct and or is in breach of its incremental production sharing contract for the Cats Hill field. They've been asked to withdraw the comments by 4 p.m. this afternoon. Meanwhile, the Office of the Prime Minister has maintained the government was not engaging in mass layoffs. This as it responded to a statement attributed to the leader of the joint trade union movement, Ansel Roger, that government had planned mass retrenchment of public sector employees at this time, and this was staved off by Labour's request for a moratorium. The OPM said even though that was not true and the government was at pains to point out that government's actions were the opposite, meant to keep as many persons in employment, even as the country's finances posed a serious challenge to this objective. It said government is very disappointed that its efforts at engagement with Labour intending to build trust and cooperation in the national interest can be so easily undermined by self-serving and misleading representation of the facts. Well, it's time now to take a look at the weather. The Met Office says as at 10:30 this morning, an area of disturbed weather associated with a tropical wave was located about 1930 kilometers east of the Windward Islands, moving westward at approximately 24 kilometers per hour. As a result, there's a 50% chance of a tropical cyclone development over the next 24 to 48 hours and a 90% chance of tropical cyclone development over the next 3 to 4 days. Regardless of intensification, This disturbance will trigger moderate to heavy rainfall on Sunday into Monday, and the Met Office underscored that at this time, Trinidad and Tobago is not under any tropical cyclone threat, watch, or warning. The chairman of the Trinidad and Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute, Denise Deming, has criticized the Minister of Education over statements made about the management of the school. In a press conference at the Shagarama School, Mrs. Deming said the school was being run properly.
As far as we are concerned, we are running an institution according to all the governance, laws and statutes and all of our own private sector initiatives. We are running that institution according to those. So if the minister has suggested, or if a member of the public has suggested that there is a management issue, then the person who should really answer that question is the minister, not us. As far as we are concerned, this ship is sound.
Recently, the minister said several concerns had been raised about the management of the school and gate was dropped for the facility. As a result, 100 students were forced to drop out of the school's program. She called the minister's comment slanderous.
Irresponsible and in fact slanderous for the Minister of Education, Mr. Anthony Garcia, to make false statements on air with absolutely no basis in law nor in logic. These remarks have been brought to the attention of our legal counsel to adopt the appropriate course of action.
The third showcase of the Mentoring by the Masters program was on display on Thursday, highlighting the various aspects of music production and the business of music. The program, which is in its 5th year, aims to preserve this country's heritage. Mentor and Managing Director of Sanj Electronics Limited, Simeon Sandiford, urged the ministry to produce more education models to adapt to this country's culture.
If we do not know our forefathers, we will be ignorant of our history and unable to edify future generations. Our society would be without a rudder. I pray that you and your colleagues in the Ministry of Education will enable the PI software to be ubiquitously available as soon as possible through institutions of learning, community centers, panyards, and NALIS.
Well, September has been dubbed Polycystic Ovary Syndrome Awareness Month, and with more than 4,000 women in Trinidad and Tobago being diagnosed with the condition, CNews sought to get a better understanding of how it affects women. Marie Hull spoke to experts at the Venus Clinic.
According to global statistics, 1 in every 10 women will experience polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS, in her lifetime. It basically means a woman has small cysts on her ovaries, which sometimes makes it difficult for her to produce eggs. But as obstetrician, gynecologist, and medical director of the Venus Clinic, Dr. Earl Bartway tells us, diagnosing the condition can be based on the Rotterdam criteria.
Polycystic ovary syndrome is a diagnosis of exclusion. Okay? Now the criteria can be broken down into 1, ovulatory or ovulation dysfunction or irregularity, where the lady is not ovulating as regularly as she's supposed to, which is monthly, or sometimes they're not ovulating at all. The second criteria is where they're having excess amount of male hormones, mainly testosterone, being produced from the ovary. The third criteria is what we all know as the ultrasound, when the doctor performs an internal ultrasound and he looks at the ovary to see if there is an excess amount of what we call mid-sized follicles.
He tells us the effects.
Fertility is one, but I also talk about things like developing what we call insulin resistance and diabetes. So ladies with PCOS are at a higher risk of developing insulin resistance and diabetes. We also think about things like sleep apnea. You know, studies have shown that these ladies are at a higher risk of developing that sleep apnea.
And how common is this condition?
Especially in Trinidad, we are seeing a higher level of patients who may fit this criteria. Now, some doctors even quote as much as 1 in 6 individuals in the reproductive years having this condition at some point in time. So that's the type of frequency we're looking at where we're seeing this condition.
In terms of treatment of PCOS, while some doctors may prescribe medication, Dr. Brathwaite says lifestyle modification is also required. We spoke to nutritionist and founder of the Empower Nutrition, Mamoral Elias, who said the lifestyle factors include diet, exercise, and stress management.
Diets that are considered overnutrition, which means you're generally consuming too many calories. But what I've seen, especially in my practice as a nutritionist, is that especially young women, teenagers, early 20s that come with this condition, they typically all have a diet that's high in fast food, and that correlates with, generally means it's also high in fat and high in sugar.
She said management of each patient would be different.
Many of the women that are referred to me for PCOS are overweight or obese. So there's a common perception that PCOS is always associated with obesity, but it actually is not. There are also women who are normal weight and have PCOS. So, for example, those two women would need very different diets because one may need to lose weight and the other one just needs to maintain their weight.
For the month of September, the Venus Clinic and Empowerment Nutrition have partnered to implement a 3-month program entitled the Venus Power Project, Breaking the Cycle of PCOS. It's aimed at taking an integrative approach to overcoming PCOS. For more information, you can contact 757-7208 or 795-9311. Marie Hall, C News.
When a suicide bomber detonated his explosive vest at a checkpoint outside a cricket stadium in the Afghan capital of Kabul on Wednesday while a T20 match was underway, killing at least 3 people and injuring 7 more. Trinidad and Tobago's Riyadh Emirate is the lone Caribbean player competing in the Shagiza Cricket League. The match was stopped immediately after the blast to ensure the safety of the players and spectators at the stadium. C Sports got in contact with Emirate on Thursday, who confirmed he was safe and heading back to Trinidad as early as Saturday.
I'm actually at the hotel. I didn't leave. Obviously, we're not allowed to leave to go anywhere, but we're safe. Thank God we're safe. The tournament continued today. They had 2 games as well today, and I have a confirmed flight that's leaving on Saturday morning, which is midnight Caribbean time, so I'll be leaving on Saturday morning. I have to play on Friday because it's in my contract. As long as I'm here, I have to play, so I'll be playing tomorrow morning and then I leave on Saturday morning. So thank God everything is fine, everything has worked out. The Afghan people has taken good care of us who are here, the Afghan Cricket Board Association, so they're taking good care of us as well as the soldiers and the security. So everything is fine, I'm good. Just want the people of Trinidad and Tobago and all who are concerned that, I'm good, and hopefully I'll be home on Sunday. Thanks.
Double world record holder Brian Charles Lara has suffered injuries to his right leg and left hand from a fall sustained at his home on Lady Chancellor Hill in Port of Spain. Lara explained that he sustained the injuries while walking down some stairs to his garden, but has golf to keep him company during his recovery period.
Just built my beautiful little staircase to get into my garden. Railing's not up yet. Fell down 10 feet. Did some damage. But I have my my plums, I have my controls, and the FedEx Cup is on, so I'm going to be watching golf all weekend. Life goes on.
The 6th edition of the Beacon Cycling on the Avenue takes place on October 4th on Ariapita Avenue and is once again expected to be a top attraction for cycling fans. Title sponsors Beacon will invest roughly $300,000 into the event, and promoter Michael Phillips says that top cyclists, many of whom will take part in the Tobago Cycle Classic, will also participate. Two-time defending champion Orlando Sanchez will also return to defend his crown along with a host of top local cyclists who are also eyeing the prizes on offer.
I would dare to say in the Caribbean, every year the prize structure has been $75,000 in prize money on one particular day. So yes, it's something that keeps the cycling fraternity extremely motivated.
Well, that's a look at sport. Well, that's the C News at Noon report for this afternoon. I am Sandra Maraj. Remember, for up-to-date and breaking news throughout the day, visit the C News website at ctvtt.com.